Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about budgeting. But let's just get one thing straight right away. This isn't about cutting out all the fun in your life. Not at all. Think of a budget as a game plan for your money. It's about you being the boss, telling your money exactly where to go, instead of scratching your head at the end of the month wondering where it all went.
So, here's the game plan for today. We're going to break this down into 5 easy-to-follow parts. First, we'll get into the why of it all. Then, we'll jump into the nitty-gritty, knowing your money, choosing a method that actually works for you, and picking the right tools for the job. And to wrap it all up, we'll talk about the most important part, how to stick with it for the long haul.
All right, let's dive in. Before we even think about spreadsheets or apps, we've got to start with the foundation. We need to understand what a budget really is, and, more importantly, why it's probably one of the most powerful tools you can have in your financial corner.
You know that feeling, right? You get your paycheck, you pay the rent, you buy groceries, you go out a couple of times, and then, poof, you look at your bank account and you're just like, wait a second, where did it all go? We've all been there. That feeling of just not knowing, that is the exact problem a good budget is designed to solve. So at its heart, what is a budget? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It's just a written plan. That's it. It's not a report card. It's not a list of things you can't do. It's all about one thing: clarity. It's a tool that shows you exactly what's coming in and what's going out. And once you see that, you get to decide if your money is actually working for you. And that leads us perfectly into our first practical step, which is just getting to know your money. I mean, you can't make a plan for something if you don't know what you're working with, right? So this phase is all about getting a crystal clear picture of your cash flow.
A really simple place to start is to split your spending into 2 big buckets. On one side, you have your fixed expenses. These are the predictable ones, the bills that are pretty much the same every month, like your rent or your car payment. On the other side, you've got your variable expenses. These are the ones that bounce around a bit. Think groceries, gas, or how much you spend on a night out. Just knowing this difference is huge because it shows you where you actually have wiggle room.
Okay, now we get to the real why. Let's be honest, a budget without a goal is just boring paperwork. Your goals are the fuel that makes the whole thing run. They're your motivation. Whether it's something short-term, like finally getting rid of that credit card debt, or saving for a down payment on a house, or even looking way down the road to retirement, these are the things that make budgeting worth it.
So how do you actually divvy up your money to hit those goals? Well, a super popular place to start is the 50-30-20 rule. The basic idea is that you take your after-tax income and slice it up. 50% is for your needs, things like housing and bills. 30% is for your wants, the fun stuff like hobbies and dining out. And then a really important 20% is aimed straight at your savings and paying down debt. Now, it's not a strict law, but it's an awesome guideline to get you started.
So, you know your numbers, you've got some goals in mind. Now what? It's time to actually pick a budgeting method. And here's a little secret for you. There is no single best budget out there. The best budget on the planet is the one that you'll actually use.
Now, if you're the kind of person who really loves to be in control of all the details, you might love zero-based budgeting. The idea is simple, but wow, it is powerful. You give every single dollar you earn a specific job to do. So at the end of the month, your income minus everything you've spent, saved, or paid toward debt should equal 0. It's detailed for sure, but it means no money just kind of vanishes. Or maybe you want something a little more hands-on. Let's talk about the classic envelope system. This thing is amazing if you find yourself constantly overspending in certain areas, like groceries or going out. You literally take cash, put it in labeled envelopes, and when the money in an envelope is gone, it's gone. You stop spending. It's a physical, tangible stop sign that just swiping a credit card can't match.
Okay, you've got your numbers, you've got a method. So how do you actually do this without it feeling like a ton of homework? That's where the right tools come into play. And believe me, we have way more options today than ever before.
And your toolkit can be as simple or as high-tech as you want it to be. You could go totally old school with a printable worksheet and a pencil. You could fire up a customizable spreadsheet in Excel or Google Sheets, or you can let technology do the heavy lifting with a budgeting app that automatically tracks everything for you.
And speaking of apps, there are some great ones out there. Let's look at a few. YNAB, or You Need a Budget, is kind of the gold standard if you're serious about that zero-based method. Good Budget is cool because it takes that classic envelope system and makes it digital. And then you've got something like Empower, which is awesome for seeing the whole big picture, not just your budget, but your investments too. But here's the thing. Don't ever feel like you have to use a fancy app. It's funny.
A NerdWallet analysis of what people were talking about on Reddit found that tons of people still swear by a simple spreadsheet. And why? Well, it's all about total control and flexibility. You can build it from the ground up to work exactly the way your brain works. And sometimes, that's the most powerful tool there is.
All right, you've done the hard work. You've tracked your spending, you've set your goals, you've picked your system. But now comes the real challenge, right? Sticking with it. So this last part is all about the real-world stuff, how to keep your budget going when life gets in the way.
Let's talk about a few common traps people fall into. First, being totally unrealistic. You can't just cut your grocery budget by 90% and expect to survive. Second, not having a plan for when the car breaks down. Third, forgetting that birthdays and holidays happen every single year. Fourth, maybe rewarding yourself a little too much for being good. And the absolute biggest mistake, giving up after one bad month. Look, this isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress. You just got to get back on track. And that number 2 mistake, not planning for emergencies, is a really big deal. A surprise bill can completely wreck a good budget. That's why pretty much every expert out there says you need an emergency fund. The goal is to have enough money saved to cover 3 to 6 months of your absolute essential expenses. It's your financial parachute. And that brings us to the final and maybe most important piece of advice. Your budget is not carved in stone. It's a living, breathing document. Life happens. You get a raise. Your goals change. Your family grows. You have to check in on your budget regularly, maybe once a month, and make sure it still actually fits your life.
So there you have it. We've gone through the why, the how, and the what ifs. You literally have the blueprint to take control of your money. So I guess the only question left to ask is, what's the first thing you're going to build? What's that one financial goal you're ready to start working towards right now?